Welcome to EnVision Center News, where we discuss community impact and involvement with today's nonprofit leaders and philanthropists. Hello, thank you for coming to EnVision Center News. I'm here with Dawn Mara from NAMI, and today we're going to just discover what NAMI is, how they're impacting our community, and so welcome, Dawn.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us what NAMI stands for?
Yes, it stands for the National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Excellent.
And NAMI is the largest grassroots mental health organization in the country, and it's dedicated to building better lives for millions of Americans that suffer or affected by mental illness, I should say, because we serve families and we serve people that have mental health conditions that are in remission, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have a chapter up here then? Is that how that works?
Yes. So NAMI National supports 1,000 affiliates all over the country. And this one is for Bonner and Boundary County, and it's called NAMI Far North.
Okay, excellent.
Because we are really far north.
Would you like to just share with how you got involved with NAMI and a little bit of your story?
I want to just explain what NAMI, why is NAMI special for a minute before I share my story. So in 1979, there were a couple of women were gathered around the table, and they had two sons, or one or two people in their family had schizophrenia. And in 1979, I think it was when the resources were very limited and they had really loosened who stays in an institution. Mm-hmm. And so these women didn't really have much to glom onto. And so the burden of care kind of shifted to families. And that's why NAMI got going, and it really got hooked in.
Yeah.
And so pretty much what we do is educate, support, we advocate, and we share research.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And how many people are you guys serving?
That's a really good question.
Basis?
Well, our communities are huge. I mean, 50,000 in Bonner, and I don't know what Boundary County has, but I'm assuming 30. So we serve everyone's welcome from those counties to come in and enjoy our free educational stuff, and we have support groups, which we'll talk about later.
Great.
But how I got involved is I had a family member, very close, that had a mental psych break. And it was very traumatic for us because my family member was 19 and we didn't know anything about mental illness. So that was about 10 or 11 years ago. And we didn't know how to navigate the system. Mm-hmm. Or like who to talk to. We went into really like this isolation period of not only just grief of what had happened, because we didn't expect that to happen. There's nothing in our family about it. And then like to give us a heads up, this is coming. It's very shocking.
Yeah.
And then we also didn't know how to navigate the health system.
Okay.
So we found NAMI. And they basically saved us. Mm. But it wasn't even like they fixed anything. But the people in NAMI had so many resources for us and so much support and a lot of hope that it really uplifted our family.
That's excellent. Yeah, I feel like in any crisis, right, whether it's a mental health crisis or a domestic violence situation, or when you have those resources to go to where those experts have lived it, they just have a different kind of compassion that can walk you through it, and they have a calm and they have a presence, and that advocacy is just so invaluable, really. Yeah,
and in fact, that is what makes NAMI unique from another place. We use a peer-led approach with our programs and our support. So a family support group person has to have a family member that has had a problem to lead it. Same with the Connections group, which serves the people that are affected by mental illness themselves. Mm-hmm. They have to have a connector leader that deals with something.
Yeah, has had a lived experience.
It's super unique.
Yeah.
The other thing about NAMI that most people don't realize they need us, like especially the family members, because they might have someone in their family getting treatment for PTSD or something, depression. But their therapist, the family member's therapist often doesn't know enough about what's going on with the family member to be able to support them in other areas other than like personal well-being, because therapists are so valuable. They don't have to know everything. But NAMI really comes in with their educational programs and gives them more tools for specific problems.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So how does it work? Is it usually the person experiencing the issue or the mental side of things? Do they come to you? Is it a family member that comes to you? Are you?
We get both.
Okay.
Yeah, especially at our support groups, we'll get both people walking in, and we can kind of
Navigate
sift through
however,
it.
yeah.
And sometimes people have a mental health condition themselves, and their family member does. And so that's always tricky, but we figured it out how to deal with that. What NAMI recommends is that that specific problem is very common, that I should tell you that when you walk in the door and you know what's going on, you have to pick the group that is most bothering you right now, or some, like where you want to be right then at that moment, because we can't always be at two places at once. So
yeah,
that's what we do.
Okay. Very cool. So how often are you guys meeting, and what does support group look like?
Our support groups are in person every third Wednesday of every month. We also have virtual meetings that are on our website almost every week. There's something for someone, and there's also some in Spanish. So that's really nice. And they come from our state organization, NAMI Idaho. So we've linked those onto our website.
Awesome.
For people to get more. We don't have enough resources here to lead more than one support group a month, but maybe soon.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great. And where does that support group happen?
So that group meets at 5:30 at the VFW every third Wednesday.
Great.
We usually have a speaker that will give a talk. Like last night, we had Sheriff Wheeler come and share. And another police officer who had a mental health condition came in and shared his experience to a really good crowd. So it was very, very heartfelt. And I think that most people came out of the meeting feeling really safe because Sheriff Wheeler's doing a great job.
That's excellent. Yeah, that's a very big comfort, right?
I know, it was.
Right. I just the way that that things can go down in a community, or with law enforcement, or with mental health.
Yeah, he's on it. In fact, when so last night when this officer shared his story, ever since this happened with him, Sheriff Wheeler has actually provided mental health care for all his staff, not just the policemen or the jailers. Everybody gets it. And because he feels so strongly about changing the culture.
Wow.
And honestly, I wasn't expecting that here.
Yeah.
But it's happening.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, really phenomenal. Something rippled and it's
And
worked.
I feel like, gosh, if I see a cop that's on the verge of breaking from PTSD, it would be really scary for me as a consumer and, in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
Standpoint world.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be one of those. And that's what he's protecting against, is that people take care of themselves, because they have such a stressful job. It's so stressful.
Absolutely.
So much trauma.
So you're meeting at the VFW. How many of the folks that are involved in your program are coming from a military background or are in?
That's an interesting question. We don't get as many veterans as we should or could. I wonder if it's mobility issues.
Yeah.
And that I would like to have our family support meetings be online. In fact, they can be. If someone wants to do that, they can call me and I'll link them in.
Yeah.
Our connections people are not really interested in doing that. I think it's a little too much for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be the VFW side of it. So,
Yeah.
but they can always link into the Idaho one.
Absolutely. And maybe
The
you're not
virtual.
getting them because they're getting so many. They have veteran services already that are
Could be.
filling that gap, which would be good.
Yeah, it
Hopefully.
could be.
Yeah, hopefully they're being reached somewhere. if
I
that's
do
the
get
case.
family members of veterans come in to the family to family courses that we teach.
Okay.
So,
cool. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So you guys have an event that's coming up on Sunday. Do you want to tell us about what is coming up?
Yeah. So I guess I should just start with our outreach. So we serve this huge community of whatever 90,000 people, and yet nobody really knows what NAMI is or what we do. So my first couple years as president, I've spent on marketing and just letting people know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the people that have really helped is Sandpoint Marketing. So I want to put a plug in for Chris.
Very nice.
Because we were rookies. He's very patient.
That is awesome.
And he's actually very effective. He and Sarah and Ben have helped a lot. So along with that, so we came up with some programs that we wanted to get out there and show people who we are. And one of them is coming up on Sunday. It's an event called Tacos and Tickets. And we feature a movie at 3:30 at the Bonner Cinema. It's called 7B Cinemas now, but it's out at the mall in Ponderay. And Eric Plummer, plug to him, has been so kind enough to give us a room, and we just get to
Fantastic.
fill it.
Yeah.
And Jupiter Jane does our tacos for us. So she'll be meeting you with her little wagon.
I love it.
And those movies happen every quarter. So this movie tonight, or on Sunday night, is going to be Champions. And it's a new one. It's a new release about, I think it's Woody, what's his name?
Harrelson?
Yes. And he is leading a basketball team. And I believe the kids have some disabilities, but I don't know what it is. It looks really fun, though. Whatever.
Nice.
So it'll be good. So it's PG-13 for all you parents out there. What else? Let's see.
Yeah, I think that's great. So quarterly you're doing these events
Yeah.
at the cinema.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, very cool. We need to start plugging those so that are they well attended?
Yeah.
Okay, well maybe we don't need to plug them that well.
I would appreciate it. We could always use more
Yeah.
people in there.
Yeah.
There's so much room in those things. You can get up to 90 there.
Perfect.
So, but we get about 50 people, and a lot of people don't know us. So it's just, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Do you have a little presentation that you do, or
I
a
just
film that's
I
recorded
just talk to
beforehand?
them. No.
Perfect. Yeah.
And then I try to get people to, if they're interested, to come to our support meetings or whatever, our educational seminars.
Mm-hmm. So outside of the support meetings and these quarterly events, how can we help you or somebody who's listening come alongside NAMI and partner with you or volunteer or get involved? What would that look like?
Well, we always need volunteers. And we do have a big NAMI walk that's coming up that we will need volunteers for. It's in October. It's the biggest walk in the country. And we had our first one last year, super successful. But it's going to be bigger this year. And
Mhm.
so we'll need more volunteers for
Great.
sure.
Yeah.
And I think we just put 2 new board members on, so we're good for that. But we do need someone that can represent children. And NAMI pretty much serves everyone. Our support groups are for adults, but we need to reach the high school. And if there's anyone out there that has interest in helping us spread how we can help them,
Yeah.
that would be great, because we
Yeah.
could set up another support group or do some other things for the kids. That's about all I can think of right now.
Great. No, that's
Yeah, and
good.
we
That's a lot.
love new ideas. So if you just want to give a shout out with an idea, that'd be great. Get on our email list and participate.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll plug you in our newsletter, and we'll let people know about these events that are coming up as often as we can. And that I feel like that child representation would be phenomenal. Just all the news that's coming out about teen girls and phone addictions.
I get a
and
lot of calls from the resource officers
It's-
and at the schools,
Mhm.
and I don't know how to help them
Yeah.
because we don't have enough people to really get something going for them.
Yeah.
We're a volunteer board, non-paid executive director. That's me, president of
Lucky you.
whatever, and everybody has a full life right now that's on our board, but somehow we get a lot done.
Amazing.
It's good.
Yeah, it is amazing.
I will tell you that it's really it's tough to get. I think the reason it's hard to get our word out there is because it's not a real sexy thing, to have a nonprofit that deals with mental illness. It's not easy to talk about. Well, it's easy for me to talk about, but it isn't easy for people to get engaged because there's so much stuff going on with stigma. And interestingly, I will give you a couple of stats. 1 in 5 people have experienced some kind of mental problem in their life, right? Well, 1 in 20, actually, the statistic's really high for serious mental illness. And that seems like a lot of people to me. And it crosses. So serious mental illnesses are like schizophrenia or bipolar disease, anxiety disorder, OCD, borderline personality. So these are the big ones, and they affect your function. So we call them serious mental illness. I don't know if that's appropriate name or not politically. I just don't know, but that's what they're called. And it doesn't really discriminate. I mean, it crosses intellectual lines, it's economic levels, and yet the education, the support, the services, the advocacy, it's not really sexy, and nobody wants to pay for it. In fact, the burden of care is on families now, and of course the justice system, law.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Just
and that's
bogged
really
down.
sad if
Yeah.
it goes that way, but
Right.
that's often what happens is. So that's what's happening. And one of our projects that we'd like to work on is, I don't know if you want to know about it or.
Oh, of course I do.
Okay,
Yes.
so I've had this our board, and we've tossed this around, and I've actually have a proposal that I want to have some social psych rehab in this county. And it would come in the form of a clubhouse. And this clubhouse would follow some really strict guidelines. It would serve people with having disabilities or recuperating from a state hospital with a mental illness that the brain takes more than 8 weeks to heal. It takes over several years. And some traumatic brain injuries will just gradually go on and steadily get better, but they take forever. And so we need people, a place, and a purpose for these folks that need help or they don't need to be isolated, because oftentimes, and this is from experience, the families have to deal with these kids at home, or maybe they've got a mother or whoever it is. And this would be a place to provide some kind of social rehab. It's not a therapy center. The government should be funding these, and there is some money down in the state to do this kind of thing. So it is possible. I have a really good plan.
Nice.
But what I'd like mostly from you and the audience is if there's anyone out there interested in teaming with me to get this going, totally doable.
Yeah.
And it will probably be done. It's just a matter of getting a team together now and figuring out where and how.
Yeah, the time, the space.
Yeah, because it's already being done all over the United States through Clubhouse International.
Clubhouse International.
Yeah, and it's member driven. It's a work day that they put in. So if you're, say, someone that wants to come in after being in a hospital for a long time, you go in, you sit around, you maybe create a lunch plan for some of the folks that are there that day. You can do that, or you can go right to employment assistance and learn how to do whatever skill you had before and just
Mhm.
brush up on whatever it is that you were doing.
Hmm.
So that's my goal, is just to have a really big range of what we offer
Yeah,
people.
great. Yeah, I'm curious to look into this Clubhouse International and how they all
It's
run.
really neat.
It sounds phenomenal and just so needed, right? I mean,
Hmm.
what an opportunity to like allow people one just social interaction outside of the home,
Hmm.
and like you were saying, any isolation for anyone just to me as an extrovert sounds horrible. I'm like, what? I have to be alone. No one wants to see me. So the fact that they can go somewhere, they can be
And
supported,
feel
they can,
safe.
yes.
Yeah, and there's no staff at this thing. It's all about, we're all equals.
Yeah.
Anybody
Yeah.
that's working there is not called a nurse or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
that's my idea.
I
That's
love it.
actually a lot of people's ideas. And we have pretty much everything's ready to go. Just need to kind of get a team together. And there's a training that takes about, I don't know if it's how many hours it is. They'll do it online. So we'll do that, and then we have a whole year of mentorship with this program.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
seems pretty doable.
Yeah. Good. Well, we'll get this team going somehow, some
Oh
way,
yeah. I
right?
mean, we could always what we really need is a crisis center here. And unfortunately for NAMI, we could certainly be involved in that, but
Mm-hmm.
we probably couldn't head that.
Yeah.
That's a little more, we need more.
Yeah. Just different capabilities, different,
Yes.
not a volunteer staff.
Yes.
It'd have to be a paid 24/7. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, is there anything else that we should cover that we haven't already? How do people get a hold of you or find out more about you? Is there a website or a place that they can
Yeah,
email
that's a
you?
really good question. I do want to talk about one thing.
Yeah.
So you can get on namifarnorth.org and find out everything we just talked about. But I do want to mention that we have a program coming up called Family to Family, and it is for family members of those who have a mental health condition. And what it is free, because everything's free, and it's a peer-led. It's a 6-week course for family that family and friends of individuals with mental illness. And it's taught by myself and Amber Snoddy, who is a previous NAMI president. And it provides information, insight, understanding, empowerment. We do a lot of talk about specific diseases that come up or brain injuries, and how to do like effective communication with people when they're having a psych break. What if they're in psychosis? Like, how do I talk to this person? It's not my person anymore. It's something
Right.
else is going on here. We have all kinds of really cool role playing that we do. And also the biggest part of this family to family course is that the people that are in the group you become very close to over 6 weeks. And that's kind of why I actually started to teach it, because I got so much out of it. I actually realized I had a little PTSD from what had happened in my family. And that was significant for me because, whatever. Let's see. That is coming up at the end of April. We're going to start a new one.
Great. Yeah, that sounds amazing. And it sounds like something very proactive as well, right? Because you never know when your family member, your friend, your loved one is going to have an issue, or you.
Yeah, and
like,
this is just dealing with their life,
Right.
with your life in
Right.
general, because some of these things take years to process and get under control and get back to your life. And then they go like roller coaster sometimes. So,
yeah.
But my kid had a good recovery and went to college and pretty good. It's, everything's different. But I think through the community of Sandpoint, our mental health experts that helped us, and the family help, getting rid of the stigma in the family, that's a big job. I think that's what saved our kid.
Oh,
Yeah.
Great. Well, I'm so glad that yours is a success story and that,
Well, it's,
I mean, a journey,
yes,
right? A continued journey. And
there's
yeah,
hope.
right. And that, I mean, now you're bringing that hope to all these families and to our community. And I just think it's beautiful and selfless. So thank you, Dawn, for doing what you do.
You're so welcome.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're going to wrap up. And again, it's namifarnorth.org. And Dawn, do you have an email that people can reach you at? No, don't give that one
It's
away.
actually, it's on the website.
Okay.
And I think that would be a more efficient way to get me.
Perfect.
I'm also a veterinarian in my spare time. I'm refocusing though, as you see. And so that email gets kind of lost sometimes.
Very fair. Very fair. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Dawn.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes. Thanks for listening to today's episode. For more information, you can go to crecIdaho.com. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again soon.